Alright, so Ryan Beard is at the center of controversy for a couple of reasons. I guess I'll just start by saying I've enjoyed Ryan Beard, actually. I've enjoyed a lot of his content. He made a content nuke on Destiny that I really enjoyed. His coverage on Colleen Ballinger was not perfect. I think it could have been better, but I don't think it was the worst thing he's ever done. I really like the video essay he did on Sneeko. There's a ton, like, Ryan Beard is generally a very intellectual person. Also, I forgot Ryan's non-binary. I totally forgot. So, they, them pronouns. Sorry about that. So yeah, Ryan Beard, they've made some really, really good content and that I've enjoyed. And they made a video called How Did No One See David's Red Flags? Right? Now, I was actually going to watch this video. I looked at that and go, this is interesting. I'll add this to the list. Maybe I'll watch this Ryan Beard video. This Ryan Beard video is actually super controversial, but not for the reasons you may think. Ryan Beard added a little segment at the very end of this, pretty much referencing Ethan Klein and making fun of Ethan Klein, essentially implying and saying that Ethan Klein was responsible for the death of his dog, Shredder, because it ate too much cheese. And that it wound up dying because of the consumption of cheese. And so, I first heard this song and I thought, okay, maybe Ryan Beard's joking, because typically a lot of Ryan Beard's songs are satire, right? Like, they're not usually meant to be taken seriously. You're gonna find out later in this drama that is, there's a lot of things that disprove that theory pretty quickly. And, I guess before we actually get into some of the meat and potatoes of it, I'm gonna play the segment now for the Ryan Beard song that he did, which is referencing Ethan Klein.
On September 16, I killed my dog in a dream, only in a dream. I fed him too much cheese, he shit out his brains, and then he passed away, but only in my dream. And then coincidentally, my real dog died on that very same day, but that had nothing to do with me. I only killed him in my dream. So many dreams about killing canines, but I don't do that stuff in real life. In real life, I love puppies. I only kill them in my dreams. Only in my dreams.
So right off the bat, that's pretty rough. You know, the shit out his brains and then wake up and he accidentally died. He is very obviously referencing Ethan Klein in this. At first, I didn't even think he was referencing Ethan Klein, because I'm like, this is a video about David. Wouldn't you be making a song parodying how terrible of a person David was? Yeah, I thought so too, but turns out that's not the case. He is legitimately referencing Ethan Klein and pretty much dog whistling that he was responsible for the death of Ethan Klein. And that's pretty rough. Now, you could still be charitable to Ryan Beard at this point and be like, oh, but this is just a really tasteless joke to include. I would agree. It is very tasteless. I don't really think there's much else we can say about the song. I don't really think it would be productive to play the entire thing. It's honestly just super poor taste from Ryan Beard. It's like, I don't know. I thought maybe, okay, like, bad song. You know, we all have a snark moment. Papa Gut, I guess, had a quote-unquote snark moment at some point. So we can, I guess, maybe let it slide here. Well, Ethan Klein posted his DMs with Ryan Beard, and you're going to find out that Ryan Beard not only wasn't joking about this, he fully subscribes to a lot of these snark ideas. So we'll take a look at that right now. Alright, so Ethan Klein posted a bunch of Instagram stories with the caption, Ryan Beard thinks it's funny and reasonable to make me relitigate the most heartbreaking and painful loss of my first dog, Shredder. He thinks it belongs in the same video about someone murdering a child and stuffing them in a trunk. Which, by the way, I agree, it's extraordinarily out of place. It's like, For what reason do you need to include it in a video that's supposed to be about David, which is a far more serious and fucked up situation? Anyways, so Ethan DMs Ryan Beard saying, super funny new video. I love the part where you joked about me killing my dog. And then Ryan Beard hearts the comment. I guess Ryan Beard decided it would be a little bit petty to heart it, I guess. I don't know. A little strange. And then Ryan Beard says, I think it's totally reasonable to poke fun at you for being negligent and not properly researching what you should be feeding your dog, which you admitted to yourself in your stream when you said that you wish the vet would have told you that too much cheese is dangerous for the kidneys of small dogs. So let's go ahead and fact check this. Okay, so according to Rockdale Animal Hospital, cheese in moderation can be a safe and tasty treat for dogs. It is rich in protein, calcium, and essential vitamins like A and B12, making it nutritionally beneficial in small amounts. Dogs who are inactive and don't have issues with weight management can occasionally enjoy cheese as part of their treats. However, dogs can eat cheese without any problems, not always. So yeah, it can cause health problems, but generally speaking, a dog dying from eating too much cheese is extraordinarily unlikely. It's so astronomically low that it's probably not worth worrying about that much, to be honest with you. Now, that's not to say you should be feeding your dog too much cheese. You shouldn't, generally speaking, but Ethan was not responsible for that. And also, this is just a typical talking point you see on Snark Reddits, just parroting because they want a gotcha against Ethan. And Ryan Beard pretty much taking this as a fact, that's fucking rough. That's a little rough, dude. I can't, it's a little tough to be charitable to Ryan Beard in this situation. You and I both know that if Hassan did the exact same thing, you would never shut up about it. There's probably a level of truth to that. Listen, we all know that Ethan Klein can be a petty motherfucker. Like, and that's part of the reason why a lot of people like watching Ethan, is because he's just so petty and won't shut up about things sometimes. Is it too bad for his own good? Yeah, I think so. I think Ethan Klein needs to care a little bit more about optics. But Ethan Klein is not a liar. And so, like, he very clearly had some level of guilt for the dog, even though he wasn't responsible for killing his dog. Dogs die for all sorts of different reasons, unfortunately, and that's just the reality. You know, Ethan wasn't negligent with Shredder. He very clearly loved Shredder a lot. He wasn't a terrible pet owner. Things happen, and in the real world, anyone would understand that, and it's very poor taste of Ryan Beard to include this in their video. Alright, next Instagram story from Ethan Klein. The only reason I felt comfortable DMing him is because he was frequently in our podcast live chat being pleasant and complimentary and obviously trying to self-promote, which I didn't mind. I complimented his Destiny video and encouraged people to watch it. Other than these very recent pleasantries, I have never spoken to this man in my life. Non-binary person, Ethan. Come on! Come on, man, Ethan. You're not trying to get canceled again. I'm just kidding. That's not really, like, what I'm mainly concerned with in this situation. K, I hope Snark enjoys your video, bro. Good luck. Fuck Snark. I think they're pieces of shit. You can't use Snark guilt by association to dodge all accountability. That's fucking crazy. I think this DM right here was what made me do a complete 180 on this situation. Because I looked at it and thought, I don't know, this seems a little bit overblown and maybe Ethan's overreacting. Because Ethan has overreacted in the past before. So I thought maybe this situation would be no different. No, actually. Ethan Klein had a very valid crash out here, as a matter of fact. When you actually look at all the details of everything. It's just extraordinarily, like, this is just unhinged. Like, why would you even think of including Ethan Klein in the same video as a person who is accused of killing their girlfriend and stuffing them in a trunk? Just like Destiny couldn't blame Snark to dodge you bringing up him having CP on his computer. You are basically accusing me of killing my child as holding me accountable? That's insane. That's it. Bye. I think you are a negligent pet owner. Jesus fucking Christ. Ryan Beard, this is not the hill to die on. Alright, third Instagram story from Ethan Klein. This was after Bada Banana leaked his private conversations with Ryan Beard, in which Ryan said miserable things about me, despite claiming to be a fan of the show in our live chats. Although Ryan said many insanely incorrect and offensive things about me to Bad Empanada, I let it go because it was part of a private conversation with a very dear friend. I've never spoken ill of Ryan despite all of this. Okay, we already read the negligent pet owner, which is insane to say. I saw what you told Bad Empanada too. Very nice friends you have. Snark and Bad Empanada are loving your content, brother. More guilt by association. I obviously hate Bad Empanada. Bit tough to sell that point when you're talking with Bad Empanada and you're seemingly friendly with Bad Empanada. I don't know, man. It's a little tough. No one has directed more harassment at me than him. He still attacks me regularly. That doesn't mean I won't have a conversation with him. I'm also not a fan of your friend Dan Saltman, but I was also willing to have similar conversations with him. Anyway, at this point, I think you, Hassan, and Destiny are all egotistical douches that I don't want anything to do with. Alright then. So I'll say this once for Ryan Beard and anyone interested using this tragic loss as a weapon against me. In a state of grief and vulnerability, I expressed guilt for feeding my dog cheese and lamented it if this had anything to do with the kidney disease that ultimately took his life. Yeah, and I mean, that's tough. Like, it's tough. Right? Like, sometimes animals die for all sorts of different reasons, and, you know, it's not like Ethan actively tried to kill Shredder or actively was neglecting it or was actively trying to make Shredder's life worse. I don't think you can't even say Ethan was negligent, because at the very least he tried to take care of Shredder, and obviously he expressed grief, and it's one of the toughest things he had to go through. And so, like, dealing with a pet dying is no joke. Ethan's already gone through it, and the fact that Ryan Beard included a snark talking point in the song related to a video about a guy who murdered a girlfriend as a legit pedophile is, it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, you would think that Ryan Beard would be a little more mature than this. In my grief, I felt an outsized sense of guilt, despite cheese being totally fine for dogs to eat. Importantly, our other dog, Alfredo, who has the same age, size, and diet as Shredder, is perfectly healthy with no kidney issues. I even did extensive lab work on him after Shredder's diagnosis to ensure there weren't any habits that contributed to kidney damage. His kidneys were operating perfectly normal then and now. 3. We and the doctors don't know why he developed kidney disease at age 5. The most likely explanation was that it was a tragic genetic inevitability, which is why I encourage everyone to squeeze and love their pets because you never know. Which also disproves the fact that they died because Ethan fed too much cheese. So, again, just another snark talking point that Ryan ran. These types of insane and cruel accusations have only come from snark communities and the transparent goal of hurting me. Ryan is the only person who actually tried to legitimize this cruelty by including it in a video essay about the murder of a child and canonize it as a reasonable criticism to me. Rip to my beloved Shredder, who I loved like my own child. So yeah. So what do I think of all of this overall? I think Ryan Beard definitely owes Ethan an apology, at the very least. The best possible interpretation, without the context of the DMs, was that Ryan Beard included a very poor taste joke that he shouldn't have included, or that they shouldn't have included. At the very least, Ryan could apologize for that. But then Ethan DMs Ryan Beard, and then Ryan Beard is like, this was totally cool, and you were a negligent pet owner. Oh, okay, so you weren't joking, right? And I also saw Ryan Beard come to Papa Guts chat and try to talk about this point and say, like, hey, you know, I was just using this as it was only like a small jab at Ethan, it wasn't about the entire song. But the entire song is literally about Ethan Klein. It had almost nothing to do with David outside of, like, the reference of killing someone in their sleep, which was a reference to David's song prior. So yeah, I don't know. It's just really disappointing. Hopefully Ryan Beard can admit up to this. If he doesn't, I think that's really shitty, and I don't think this is the hill that Ryan Beard wants to die on. And that's really it.